fans, use this radio station tomorrow morning for important news updates. Listen to Utah's most important radio station tomorrow morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back in. It's the final segment of Season 2 of Cougar Nation, and it's sponsored by Central Bank. Shout out to them for being on board this season for a great Cougar Nation. We've enjoyed all the interactions with you BYU fans throughout the season, and going forward, we're pivoting to Cougar Sports Saturday. So, not this Saturday because of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints General Conference, but the Saturday after that will be full bore into transfer portal for hoops, roster construction, and then we've got a ton of football interviews to get you ready for another fantastic season. NFL drafts coming up. That'll be interesting to see what happens with Tyler Batty, and as Jacob Robinson maybe put himself in a position with a strong Big 12 Pro Day. So the one thing I love about BYU, man, is that even in the off seasons, there's still a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah, Jeff Kaplan earlier tonight, he's saying, you just put your feet up. Jeff, no. I'm not putting my feet up, Jeff. Come on now. No,
hey, we thought about putting our feet up last year after getting to the NCAA tournament, and I remember being at Disneyland. We were just talking about Disneyland. I am at the park, and I get a text, Mark Pope is off to Kentucky. I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? We were just at the tournament. It's all falling apart. And look where we are now.
Yeah, I think it all worked out for all parties.
Yes.
Kentucky, for Arkansas, for BYU. And
it didn't work out for SMU, though.
That's a good point. And the debate of which school leveled up will continue because all three of the ones I mentioned, they all end up in the Sweet 16, so the debate will continue. Oh, you know what? Here's a call out. Hey, Mark Pope, Kevin Young, bring together a scheduling agreement, please.
But it has to specifically be home and home.
Yes.
And it won't be. Kentucky won't come. Mark Pope won't come. I guarantee it.
I know. It won't happen, but, man, I would love to see it. BYU versus Kentucky. Be dynamite, man.
BYU, I think, is ready to do that type of stuff, but I hope that Kevin Young and co. drive a hard bargain. Like, this isn't 2009. We're not doing away and neutral at the Delta Center. Like, to me, you got to move on from that. You're a Big 12 team now. I think they're willing to do home and homes. They're willing to play in big-time MTEs. But none of this, we go to you, but then you come to Salt Lake. Like, I'm not about that, Mitch.
BYU basketball schedule next year, they will have Villanova to open up the year. It'll be November 5th in Las Vegas. That's going to be...
And then a one-timer neutral site, I'm okay with that.
And you know what? Cougar fans will fill up that building.
Oh, yeah. T-Mobile.
For the first game of A.J. DeBanza.
Oh, boy.
And a potential return of Richie. And if you somehow get Jaeger back and you run it back against a Villanova team from the Big East, and they got a new head coach that comes over from Maryland, that's going to be so much fun. We'll see how all the rest of the schedule comes together for BYU basketball, but I have some confidence that Kevin Young's going to piece together some awesome matchups because I think even for him, he was like...
They won't do the non-conference like they did this year.
I think at times even he was a little bit like, this is what we're playing? Like, this is a little bit boring. Like, even he goes from coaching up the NBA, and then he's coaching against Florida A&M. Like, no disrespect to the Rattlers, but get this. Here's a fun stat from this year.
Disrespect the Rattlers.
But here's a fun stat from this year. BYU in non-conference played more teams linked to gambling scandals than they did Quad 1 opponents.
Wow.
Fresno State and Florida A&M are both linked to point-shaving scandals this season. They played more point-shaving scandal teams potentially than Quad 1. So I feel confident they're going to have a lot more Quad 1s in the non-conference schedule. When you get a number one recruit like DeBanza and potentially a tandem of him and Richie Saunders, yeah. Oh, by the way, A.J. DeBanza's in action right now. He's at the McDonald's All-American Dunk Contest. Dude just had a perfect 50 on one of his slam dunks. I asked him earlier today what he thought about the potential tandem between him and Richie Saunders. And he's like, Richie's got to make his decision. We'll see what happens with there. He noted that he hasn't had much talk with Richie, but said that he feels those two together could be, quote, pretty special. And I tend to agree. I think that could be some awesome two players that are highly physical. I mean, they're not going to lack for the physicality department. When you face a Houston, when you think physicality, DeBanza and Saunders are going to be ready for that challenge next year if they line it up together.
potential pairing, because it's not guaranteed that Richie's coming back, though I think there's a good chance that he will, if you just think about it logically.
Yeah.
I don't see – look, at the very least, he should go test the waters. Go get an evaluation. Go to the pre-draft workout. There's nothing to lose from doing that. But he's going to be highly sought after with NIL. There's revenue sharing. He's a viral sensation with the tater tot. Like that's gonna bring in more money next year. It's going to continue. So, if he does come back, though, the point I want to make here, Mitch, is all the more reason to keep a Yago or a Dallin, because you need someone, preferably both, in my opinion, but you need point guards who are going to distribute. You got to run your offense through those guys. That's not to say Yago or Dallin can't score. You still need scoring at that position, but I don't want to limit any potential touches for those guys if you have a score-first point guard.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it'll be a lot of fun to see that schedule when it eventually comes out. For football, they're going to open up the season on August 30th against Portland State.
And then Frank Reich coming to Provo. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Stanford Cardinal, Frank Reich.
Frank Reich, it's kind of a weird deal. He's coaching 1 year and that's it.
Yeah, it's his interim deal to help out Andrew Luck, who's I guess you could say the general manager of that Stanford program.
Yep.
And, yeah, they'll be coming to Provo, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Football's going to have heightened expectations. They're going to probably be, I would expect, a preseason top 3 team in the Big 12 next season. I think when the preseason poll comes out in the summer.
I don't think they'll be top 25 nationally, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I think they will.
Really?
I think they will. I think they'll sneak into the top 25. I think
they didn't have a sexy transfer portal class, though.
But I think that Alamo Bowl will kind of carry the.
I hope you're right.
It'll win the day, and then they'll probably be that 23 to 25 spot. But because
That's a great place to start.
Yeah, I think there's room to grow, and I think the fear that a lot of Cougar fans have, though, when expectations get leveled up, is the fall coming, and is because. Let's call it what it is. BYU, I think, is better as an underdog. And I think that's going to be the theme of BYU sports next year is how do you take it to a higher level? How do you break through? Because this athletic department thrives as an underdog. They do great as an underdog. When no one believes in them, BYU just is always delivering. They always show up in a big way, with an exception being that Alabama game. But even that one, they were kind of a trendy pick.
Yep.
A lot of people were saying they're going to take down Bama. I said it. We said it.
Totally.
We were all buying in.
Yep.
So that's going to be just really interesting to me for both sports, is just to take it to a higher level and actually break through. Because when you think about it, Matt, BYU basketball has not won a conference title since 2011. Football hasn't won a conference title since 2007. I know independence happened for a long time and to cause that big gap, but we're almost talking, 15, 20 years where you're winning conference titles at the biggest revenue-generating sports. Let's see them get it done.
They need to get it done. And really, switching the gears to football, if they don't do it this year, they're looking at some sort of rebuild. I mean, they go out into the transfer portal and they add Keanu Tanavasa. If he has a good year, he's off to the NFL.
Sure.
Jake Retzloff, we'll see because of the JUCO element, but I think everyone's operating like it's his final season. Yeah. And then you look at Chase Roberts, it's definitely his final season, and there's a lot of other guys that it's their final season. So, to me, this is the year in which football's got to break through because they're going to need to restock the cupboards, so to speak. And so this has to be the year that they break through. The schedule is sort of breaking their way. I wouldn't call it a cakewalk, but you get Utah at home.
Yep.
Your non-conference is light. Iowa State, let's see, right? I'm not convinced that they're going to be competing for a Big 12 championship game again. So there's a great opportunity ahead for this football team.
We will follow all of it and cover all of it on KSLSports.com and on Cougar Sports Saturdays, noon to 3, here on KSL News Radio. And then before you know it, it'll be the end of July, and we'll be hearing, fall camp will be back in action. It'll be BYU.
It's probably going to start like around Pioneer Day, right?
Yeah, it'll be around like July 30th. So we'll have you covered. Been a great season. We appreciate all of you. Talk to you next time here on KSL News Radio.